Okay, let's talk about hearing protection. Hearing protection is obviously very important and should be worn when you are training. There's a lot of products to choose from, and they do different things. So I'm going to explain the categories of the different types. The prices can range pretty heavily, and that's going to depend on what you need or what you want out of them. I don't have a ton of different types, especially the higher end stuff, because I just don't have the money to do that for a video, but I have a range of them varying from cheap to a little more expensive. Before we get into the specifics of these, we have to get a basic understanding of decibels. Decibels measure sound intensity. The louder the sound, the higher the decibels. For an example, a normal conversation might be around 60 decibels. A hairdryer could be around 100, and a gunshot could be upwards of 160 decibels. 80 decibels or higher over a prolonged period may cause hearing damage over time, but anything over or around 120 can cause instant damage. Decibels are not so simple though. With every increase in decibel, the loudness increases exponentially. That means that the difference between 50 to 60 decibels and 110 to 120 decibels is going to be vastly different, even though they are each 10 decibels difference. This is important to understand because hearing protection will list a decibel rating. Usually they're all within that 20 to 30 rating. So with really loud sounds like gunfire, that's why it's probably wise to double up, and we'll get into that. So really, there's two types of hearing protection, and that's in-ear and over-ear. In-ear will be the foamies, like these earplugs, and over-ear will be earmuffs. Like I said, it's worth doubling up on these, especially when you're at an indoor range. You put these in first, and then you put these on. There is then a subcategory of hearing protection, and then there's also two types. The first type is called passive hearing protection. This is pretty basic. Passive just means that you put them on and they dampen the sound. They'll give a decibel rating, which will dampen the sound by that amount. Everything is just going to be more quiet. So, here are Howard lights by Honeywell, the L1 model. They're just standard earmuffs. They have a decibel rating of 25. I bought them for around $20. Perfectly fine for protecting your hearing. This is another pair I got at some hardware store. It's made by Safety Works. Looking these up, it looks like they're rated at 24 decibels. Again, I think these are around $20. These look like they're designed more for working than shooting, but they're still going to dampen sound. What's cool about these is it has a strap and the headband can be moved. This is useful if you're going to wear a helmet. You can move it out of the way and still hold it well on your head. These specifically might not be the choice for a tactical helmet, but maybe if you're an arborist or just working with a helmet on. Something that you'll see on the cheaper earmuffs is foam cups. They're perfectly usable, but the more expensive ones will come with gel pads, but we'll get to that. Passive in-ear are just these earplugs. Usually they list them around 32 decibels for these foam earplugs, which is actually more than the over-ear. A benefit to these as well is you can buy a ton of them in a pack for pretty cheap. Now that's passive hearing protection. So what is active hearing protection? Well, that's referred to as electronic hearing protection, and that's where it gets fun. Electronic hearing protection will be battery powered and will include a system of speakers and microphones. When they're turned off, they just act passively, same as those. But when you turn them on, they will play sound through the headphones. This is a pretty awesome thing because when you have earmuffs on, you can't really hear what someone is saying if they're talking to you. But with these, you'll be able to hear them. You can obviously adjust the sound to the desired level. Basically, these will let you hear what's going on while dampening the loud sounds. But this is where we can really see some jumps in price. But there is a very affordable and recommendable pair here, and that is the Walker's Razor Slim. This might actually be the most popular pair of earphones for shooting. You always see people wearing these, and for good reason. If you want to check them out, I have a link to Amazon in the description for them. These are rated to 23 decibels, so not really that high. These take 2 AAA batteries and supposedly have an 80-hour actual use battery life. These fold up for storing, something we didn't see with the other two. And these are usually around $40. And when you put these on for the first time or show someone, it's really cool. It almost sounds like you are listening to a video, but it's actually what's happening in front of you. It is turned on with this scroll wheel, and you can adjust the volume up and down. These have foam pads, but you can get the gel caps for these that don't actually cost that much more. There's some things that this one lacks where you have to spend a bit more to get. It's worth mentioning that there are also in-ear electronic hearing. Walkers make some. I don't have any, but it's the same concept. Now we get to the more serious options. While these all work for the range, and these are great for that, now we step up quite a bit in quality as well as price. This is the Safariland Liberator HP 2.0. There are a lot of higher end brands, Peltor, Opscore, Sordin. This is just one of them. Many of you are familiar with Safariland. They make a lot of holsters. Just looking at the outside, we have the microphones on the front. On the side, you have the power button and volume up and down buttons. And it'll actually save the mode you were on when you turn it on and off. Made in the USA, whereas these are made in China, these have the gel ear cups, and I find this a lot more comfortable. Now these are rated at 26 decibels. It's got the battery compartment here, a really nicely designed battery door, and this takes either 2 AAAs or one CR123 battery. That's actually one of the reasons why I was swayed more towards these over the other options, because of the ability to take a CR123. Battery life, depending on the mode, which I'll get into them shortly, battery life can range from 160 to 300 hours. There's also helmet mounting options for this, but I don't have any of those right now. The big difference you're going to get with these and other more expensive options is the sound quality. Honestly, it's not really comparable. The first time I put these on, I was blown away by how they sounded. It sounds way more natural than these. There's 3 modes that this has. The first mode is called Enhanced Mode. It blocks loud noise, but allows you to hear everything around you for maintaining situational awareness. It also allows radio traffic. The second is called Move Mode, which blocks all noise, but still allows radio traffic. This would be used while moving in something loud like a helicopter. It's meant for something that has a constant loudness to it. The third mode is called Clarity Mode. It's still used with steady state noise, but allows speech and radio traffic. For most people, Mode 1, Enhanced Mode, will be the one mainly used. This mode is truly amazing. It really doesn't even feel like you're wearing hearing protection. Everything sounds like it would without them, but enhanced, so it feels like you have super hearing. The directional sound from these are what sets it apart from these, because with the walkers, you can't really tell exactly where the sound is coming from. You could tell if it's closer or farther away based on the sound level, but not direction. With the Safariland, you could tell exactly where everything is coming from. I did a test where I had somebody go behind me and snap their fingers, left side, right side. With the walkers, I couldn't tell where it was coming from, but with the Safariland, it was easy. These are also tested to a higher standard, so they'll be more durable and resistant to harsh conditions. One thing to note about the more expensive headsets, as this one is right now, it isn't comms capable. You can have it converted by Safariland, or just start by buying the comms capable headset in the first place, but that costs a lot more than they already are. If it was something you needed, then you'd probably just get it anyway. So the price for these is around $300. $350 MSRP for the base model, but I managed to find it for $300. Yeah, it's not cheap. And that's just for the base models. There's other brands like Peltor, Opscore. If you want a comms capable headset, expect to pay upwards of $1,000. Like I said, if you don't really need that, the base models are still really great. For me, this is worth it over this because of the differences in sound. Not saying that these aren't good. For $40 you can get hearing protection that gives you some nice capabilities of hearing conversation and things going on around you instead of just dampening everything like the passive ones. They really are useful. The sound awareness of the more expensive pair are just so much better, but you'll have to pay for it. So that was the basics really on what hearing protection is, the differences between passive and active, and the differences in the price points. If you want to check out the walkers here, I'd appreciate it if you use my link in the description. Thanks for watching this through to the end, guys. Goodbye.